I will call this meeting to order. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we acknowledge the town of Edson is located on Treaty 6 territory. The traditional and ancestral lands of the Nikawak, Saulteaux, Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and the Atipimiswak Métis Nations. We honor the knowledge of this land, the elders and youth which gather here, and our ancestors who have gathered here for centuries. We do have an addition to the agenda today, item G6. Reallocation request wastewater treatment pond sledging. So can I get a motion, please, that the agenda for the September 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted with the addition of item G6? Go ahead, Councillor Chouinard.
I'll make the adoption of the agenda with the addition of G6.
Thank you, Councillor Chouinard. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Can I get a motion, please, for the approval of the minutes of the August 19th, 2025 regular meeting of council? Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. We have no public hearings this evening, but we do have a delegation joining us virtually today from Food Cycle Science, presented by Maddie Frum. So welcome to the meeting, Maddie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. If I am okay to start, I'll just share my screen and jump right in.
Go right for it. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, hope everybody can see that. So good evening, Mayor, members of council and staff. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Maddie Frum. I am the Municipal Partnerships Representative here at Food Cycle Science, and I'm here tonight to discuss a food waste program for the town of Edson. Before I begin, I do want to note that I'm aware your community has curbside organics collection. The program I'm going to be sharing information on will complement your existing program. So Food Cycle Science is a Canadian company. We're based out of Ottawa, and we are 100% focused on food waste diversion solutions. And we do that by using our innovative technology called the Food Cycler. So our in-home food waste recycler is sold direct to consumers, to businesses, to classrooms through partnerships with a not-for-profit organization, and then to municipalities like yours through our Food Cycler Municipal Solutions Division, and that's what I'll be focusing on today. So we've partnered with more than 150 Canadian municipalities. You'll find us in rural and remote areas all the way to highly populated cities. Nearby to you, we have programs in Drayton Valley, Big Lakes County, the MD of Greenview, and Lacombe County. But the communities that partner with us, they do so for the same reason. They understand that there's an issue when food waste ends up in the landfill, and they've decided to make a change and help get it out of there. Now, I know you're all likely aware of the problem with food waste, so I'll just quickly recap it. It makes up about half of our household waste. It's made up of liquid, which is heavy, it freezes in the winter. But on top of that, food waste in the landfill is responsible for generating the harmful greenhouse gas methane. So all of these factors make it so that food waste is a problem that actually has a strong municipal impact. Now, one of the impacts to municipalities is that food waste, since it makes up such a large portion of our waste stream, it causes landfills to fill up quickly. As you know, operating a landfill and just managing waste in general is very costly for a municipality. So we do want to try and divert as much as possible and extend the lifespan as long as we can. Then, as I mentioned, the environmental impact is that organic waste in the landfill produces methane, which is 25 times more harmful than CO2. So to put that into perspective, if we took 1 ton of food waste out of the waste stream, that's equivalent to taking 1 car off the road for an entire year. And then in the community, putting food waste in the garbage or sometimes even the green bin, it's not very pleasant. It causes odors, it smells, it attracts animals, which love to then rummage through our trash. So if we can, remove food waste from the garbage, and maybe change the way the method it's in, we can eliminate these issues and reduce volumes across the board. So we often get asked, haven't we solved this already? And there are green bins, which your community of course has, and we're really glad to see your commitment to organic waste diversion. But one issue we see with green bin programs is that they struggle to get above a 40 to 60% participation rate. This means that a lot of organics are still just ending up in the landfill. And no matter how much education is done, this ick factor of food waste in the green bin is sometimes too much for residents to get over. So it still doesn't work well. Then people in your community might backyard compost, and I'm sure we'd all agree this is the ideal solution. However, backyard composting isn't feasible for everybody. It still attracts bears and animals, and it's not a year-round solution. And then finally, putting green or food waste in the landfill is very harmful to the environment, as I mentioned, and costly to the municipality. So we've proposed a different way to manage food waste. Essentially, we've built a small kitchen appliance, roughly the same size as an air fryer. It's really easy and straightforward to use. You put the food waste into the machine, you push a button, and then in a matter of hours, you're left with a dry, nutrient-rich soil amendment. It handles all types of food waste. That includes meat, poultry, fish, dairy, most bones, and pits. And that's great because these are foods that are sometimes recommended to not go into a green bin or a backyard composter. The machine can be used anywhere with a plug, so most people keep it in their kitchen, a basement, or a heated garage. And the cycle takes about 4 to 8 hours to complete and uses about 1 kilowatt hour of power. Depending on the grid you're on, that's going to cost about 11 cents per cycle. And then that soil amendment you're left with at the end has many uses, and I'll touch on that in a few slides. So here's a look at the two units we would recommend to your municipality. The difference between the two is just capacity and unit size. So the Eco 3 holds 3.5 liters of food waste and was designed for smaller spaces or smaller families, so you don't produce as much food waste. And the Eco 5 holds 5 liters of food waste and is recommended for larger families or people who know they produce more. Both machines are equipped with refillable carbon filters to eliminate the smells that occur during the cycling process, but you don't need to maintain your carbon filter for the machine to work properly. So if you keep it in a basement, let's say, and you don't notice the smells during the cycling period, you're not going to need to worry about that carbon filter. Now, I like to show this image just because it's a really good depiction of what actually happens when you run the food cycler. So you'll have a full bucket of food waste and it'll dehydrate and grind down, reducing in volume up to 90%, leaving you with just a couple handfuls of this soil amendment. Now, the byproduct, the soil amendment, what can you do with it? Well, there's so many uses. It can go right into the garden soil like a fertilizer, and we have a guide that explains how to do this properly. It can go into any type of backyard composting system, into a leaf and yard waste system. Of course, in your community, though, it would just go right into the green bin, and then it can be processed at any composting facility. So from an environmental standpoint, over its lifetime, the food cycler is actually a net negative carbon solution. And what that means, it's just like using solar panels. When you use the food cycler to avoid bringing food waste to the landfill, you're actually avoiding more greenhouse gases than have been created in the entire process. So this was created, we figured this out using a life cycle analysis. So we've incorporated, manufacturing, shipping, electricity use over its lifetime, and then end of life recycling. And so you can feel good using this, knowing that it is actually better for the environment in the end. So in addition to the environmental impact, the traditional method of managing waste is a heavily burdened system with costs at every single step in trucking and maintenance. But the food cycler is a decentralized solution that eliminates all of these additional costs. But the one thing that it does when it works in combination with a green bin is that it encourages people to use their green bin, getting you a higher return on investment in that system. One thing we've learned from working with municipalities is that residents are really interested in being part of the solution. They want to try new things, they want options, and they really like it when their government brings these options to the community. And that's what you get to do with the food cycler. So you're bringing something that's innovative and tangible to residents. And since food waste accounts for such a large portion of household waste, it's a really impactful strategy to achieving your diversion targets. Now, the results from our municipal pilot projects have been overwhelmingly positive. We're able to achieve a 98% participation rate. We have a user experience rating of 4.6 out of 5 stars, and we're seeing a significant amount of net new waste diversion, approximately 300 kilograms per household per year is being diverted. After seeing how well the initial pilot program goes, many of the municipalities we work with decide to expand to more households in their community and get as many people food cycling as possible. So the pilot program starts with an initial 12-week phase to test the viability of the solution in your community. It's very straightforward. Residents purchase a food cycler at a subsidized rate from you, the municipality. They use their unit for 12 weeks, tracking the number of cycles they've ran each week. Then at the end, we ask them to complete a brief survey so we can evaluate the program's success. We compile all of those results and present them back to you in a final report or a feasibility study. At this time, we would also propose a plan for expanding the program in the community, but we would work on that plan with staff to make sure it aligns with your needs and your budget. So the funded pilot projects work on a subsidy model, as I've mentioned. At Food Cycle Science, we provide a discount, reducing the cost by 50%. We then ask that the municipalities subsidize the unit by a minimum of $100 per unit, and then participating residents choose which model best suits their needs, and they contribute the remaining amount. And then keep in mind, at the end of the pilot, this is the residents to keep using, so you will continue to see some benefits. So here I have pilot size recommendations. So for Edson, for the initial trial, I'd recommend a 100 household program. And so since the municipal subsidy is a minimum of 100 per household, a pilot size of 100 would be an investment of only $10,000 plus shipping and taxes. But this is just a recommendation. If you're interested in working with us, we're always happy to tailor a scope that best fits your needs and your budget. So lastly, here are some reasons that may resonate with you as you consider whether you should pilot with us. The first is that you have the opportunity to trial this technology at well below market rates. You're also going to be able to see some immediate and impactful benefits like waste diversion, lower disposal costs, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions. But overall, you're able to provide your constituents with a low-cost municipal service while being a steward for the environment. So I welcome the town of Edson as a partner in the fight against food waste, as I believe your community is a great fit for the benefits of this program. Today, all I ask is you receive my presentation as information, and should there be interest in working with us on a pilot program, that you refer to staff for a report and recommendation. So thank you so much. I'm prepared to answer questions, and I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Frum. Council, do you have any questions for our presenter this evening? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
Through the mayor, my question is, the first 100 are discounts, so if the town buys in, what would the price be for the rest of the residents? The high price or discounted rate?
So the first, thanks for the question. So the first 100 are the discount. After that, we would be looking at using this tool as an addition to your green bin, and so we would incorporate it into your tax, the services that you provide. And so ideally, they would be at no cost to the residents. One option that we can, if you want to have a cost, is to increase the subsidy to, let's say $250, and then residents are paying a small amount for the pilot or for the program. But it's flexible. So if people wanted to participate later, there would be that subsidy if you wanted to have the additional services like all the data collection that we provide.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Councillor Moore.
Through the mayor to Ms. Fromm, how quiet is this machine when it's running, of course?
Thank you for your question. So the machine's no louder than a dishwasher. It's quieter than a dishwasher. I don't know the decimal level, but you don't notice it. I run mine at night, and my bedroom is right beside my kitchen, and I don't hear it unless it's crunching on a bone. And so, it's not very loud at all.
All right, thank you. Is there any additional questions from council? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation. Have yourself a good evening.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
All right, we're going to move on to, we have no bylaws, so we're going to move on to business items. First item, repeal obsolete council remuneration policies, presented by General Manager of Corporate Services, Brett Hawking. Go ahead, Mr. Hawking.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. This item is brought forward to you today as an administrative step. To be transparent, this repeal should have happened at the July 3rd meeting when I brought forward the new council remuneration procedure and policy. However, it is best practice to repeal it, so therefore it is being brought forward today. The new policy and procedure fully captures these three policies being repealed. Section 5, 6, and 9 of the procedure is what covers the council remuneration piece from the previous policy. Section 7 of the procedure covers the travel and expense piece from that old policy. And Section 5 of the policy and Section 8 of the procedure cover the FCM piece. So I'm happy to answer any questions council have.
Thank you, Mr. Hawken. Council, do you have any questions? It's pretty straightforward. Seeing none, we will start taking some motions. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
I move that council repeal council remuneration policy LC1.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion's carried unanimously. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I move that council council travel and hospitality expense in LC4.
You repeal?
Revealed, that's the word. I was trying to figure out how to say it right.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chenard. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. And go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I move the council repeal council attendance at Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference and Alberta Urban Municipalities Association Conference Policy LM4.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Next, we have the appointment of external auditor presented by Denise McDonald, Chief Financial Officer. Please go ahead, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Before you tonight is just a bookkeeping item. The auditors have submitted a tender for 24, 25, and 26 with the option to extend for 2 further years. On an annual basis, we appoint the auditor. MNP has provided exceptional support in the 24 audit process and the consolidated financial statements, and administration is recommending that they be appointed as the external auditor for 2025.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Council, do you have any questions for Ms. McDonald? Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor, to Ms. McDonald and to the rest of council, no question, just a comment, and I'll just say that the auditor this year was exceptional in terms of the financial statements that we received a few weeks ago. If you remember, that council was pretty quiet in terms of listening to the financial reports and things like that, and the reason why is because it was so thorough, and any questions that I had coming in were answered, and very thoroughly they were answered. So I'm happy to see this group continue to do this work. So.
Thank you, Councillor Pisichny.
Yeah, through the mayor to Ms. McDonald, maybe to echo Councillor Taylor's a bit. I like the fact that we're same organization, a little bit of continuity there, and them having going through all that history, it is a little bit easier moving forward. So hopefully it'll save us some money as well, and they work quite thorough. It's nice to see.
Thank you. Council, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion from the floor, please. And go ahead, Councillor Pisichny.
Yeah, I would move that council appoint MNP LLP as the external auditor for the 2025 audited financial statements.
Thank you, Councillor Pisichny. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. Next up, we will go to the 2025 public auction and reserve bids for property tax recovery. Once again, presented by our Chief Financial Officer, Denise McDonald. If you want to queue up, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you is the property tax recovery process for our outstanding tax arrears. The authority is provided to the municipality under Division 8 of the Municipal Government Act that relates to the recovery of taxes. Section 418 covers the offer of parcel for sale, and 436.09 covers the offer of designated manufactured homes for sale. Property tax recovery process, municipalities can recover unpaid property taxes through a legislative process that ensures fairness, transparency, financial accountability. Property tax arrears pose a risk to the municipal revenue and service delivery. To address this, municipalities follow a structured recovery framework that protects the public interests while providing the property owner with a reasonable opportunity to resolve the issue. Tax recovery process is not optional. The Act states that it's a statutory obligation that municipalities must follow. We do not want people's property, we just want them to pay their taxes. It supports the municipality's ability to fund essential services and manage infrastructure and ensure an equitable treatment of all property owners. So this is our tax recovery process. It started for this particular group, it would have started December 31st, 2023, when the taxes became in arrears. In January, March of 24, we would have identified unpaid tax accounts, and we would have submitted an arrears list to land titles. Notification would have been given to property owners early in 2024, and there's a 1-year period begins from April 24 to March of 25, and then we would prepare for the public auction spring to fall of 2025. So this is where we are today. We're prepared to advertise and set the reserve bids in the fall of 2025, and then we would conduct the public auction November 26th, as well as we could potentially take ownership if it's unsold. These are the properties listed. At any point during the property tax recovery process, property owners can have the removal of the tax recovery notification if the arrears are paid in full. Once the payment is received, the municipality is required to discharge the notification from the property title. And this ensures that property owners who resolve their outstanding balances are no longer subject to further recovery actions. The property is then restored in good standing with land titles or the registry's office. With this, administration recommends that council set the public auction date for recovery of unpaid property taxes as November 26, 2025, and that council set the reserve bids for each property at the most recent property assessment value. Back to you.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Council, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
Through the mayor to Ms. McDonald, how does this list stack up with previous years?
Through the mayor to Councillor Moore, I don't have that information in front of me. I'd have to get back to you at a later date. Sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead, CO Beveridge.
Through the mayor to Councillor Moore. Typically, we see about 4 to 5 properties, depending on the year, in the time that I've been here for sure. But when it comes time to the actual auction, often we don't have any properties to actually auction off. We've had those situations, I believe, not last year, but the year before, where we actually obtained a property through the process, and that would be the Computer's Edge building, for an example. But in my history here, there's been very low amount of individuals on this list when it gets to this point, and even less when it gets to the auction date.
Councillor Chachka.
Thanks. Through the mayor to Ms. McDonald. So for the properties that are listed, has administration been in contact with the owners within the past 3 years? All have been, I guess, they've been able to contact all of them regarding this.
Through the mayor to Councillor Chachka, yes, we're legislated to communicate with them on a regular basis, so we have sent notifications of it to
Thank
them.
you.
Councillor Pisichny.
Yeah, through the mayor to Ms. McDonald. I'm not sure if you can answer the question or not. The bottom two are easy to identify the location. The top three, are those all the same owner? They're all very similar in address, I guess, or location, because it's illegal land, but.
Sorry, thank you for the question through the mayor to Councillor Pisichny. I'm not familiar personally with these properties. Each one of them has a different civic address, so they are different properties, but I'm not confident of who the owners are.
I
try to keep it-
believe they're separate owners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I will take a motion from the floor. Please go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I move the council set public auction date for recovery unpaid taxes, November 26, 2025.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. And can I get the second motion, please? Councillor Bevan.
Move that council set the reserve bids for each property to be most recent property assessment value.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Next up, Ms. McDonald with the 2026 franchise fees, and I'll get you to queue up once again. Go ahead.
Thank you for the floor again, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you are the municipal franchise fees. Does not want to go forward. There we go. Okay, so for the background on this, the authority is under section 45(1) of the Municipal Government Act. The council may grant utility services rights up to 20 years. The fees and caps include 20% for electricity, 35% for natural gas. Changes must be advertised publicly for 2 consecutive weeks before approval to the Alberta Utilities Commission, who regulates the franchise fees. Annually, the municipality must respond in writing to the utility companies regarding fee charges, and public input is forwarded to AUC for final approval. What is a franchise fee? It's the fee a municipality can charge a utility provider for providing access to the municipal lands for the purposes of the service for the utility to provide to their customers. Typically, the utility passes those fees on to their customers in a transparent way, and AUC regulates it. Current agreements and rates of franchise fees support tax equity. Franchise fees generate revenue from properties exempt from property taxation, including schools, healthcare facilities, places of worship, nonprofit organizations, federal, provincial government buildings. This mechanism ensures a broader, more equitable tax base, as nearly all organizations consume utilities, even though they do not pay property taxes. This helps distribute the cost of municipal services more fairly across all utility users. The Town of Edson's franchise agreements for 2025 list Fortis under bylaw 2141 at 4.7%, ATCO Gas and Pipelines Limited, bylaw 2180 at 22.54%, and Yellowhead Gas Co-op, bylaw 2300 at 22.54% for gas. Proposed rate change. The franchise fees for Fortis is set below the median among comparable municipality. Increasing the fee from 4.7 to 6.7 is projected to generate approximately $197,782 in additional revenue to support the 2026 budget. That's equivalent to a little over 1% of the tax levy increase. Based on 2025 rates, a review of 8 comparative municipalities, the average franchise fee for those 8 comparative municipalities is 15.26%. A median franchise fee is 14%. The proposed 6.7 would change the residential rate from 3.72 per month, or $44.61 per year, to $5.30 per month, or $63.63 per year, a result of an estimated impact of $1.58 per month, or $18.96 per year per residential customer in 2026. In the attachment, there was the rate list for Fortis for the year, for the province of Alberta. There's 168 customers on it, and that average on that rate sheet is 10.8, and the median for the province is 10. And I will remind you that in the historical data presented with the consolidated financial statements, there was a graph that showed the franchise fees per capita for all towns in Alberta. And the last 3 years, historically, we've been below the median, and the gap between the median and where we are is growing. This will help reduce that gap. With that, the recommendation is that council increase the 2026 Fortis Alberta's franchise rate fee rate at the current rate of 4.7 to 6.7 for electricity, but maintain the ATCO Gas franchise rate fee and the Yellowhead Gas Co-op franchise fee. I'll pass it back to Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Council, do you have any questions, comments for Ms. McDonald? Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to Ms. McDonald, thank you for the explanation on the Fortis franchise fee and the increase there, and supportive of that motion. Certainly not asking for an increase of the ATCO or Yellowhead Gas Co-op. Any reason why no increase there? I know we increased, I think it was last year we increased the ATCO, and Yellowhead Gas is relatively new. We weren't aware that we had that in our municipality up until about a year or two ago, I believe. So just wondering if the rationale be maintaining those rates as they are.
Through the mayor to Councillor Taylor, thank you for the question. Last year, we discovered the Yellowhead Gas it's unusual to have two co-ops within a municipality. And so last year we discovered there were two, and there was an inequity between the two. And so we brought the Yellowhead Gas up to 22.54 so that a resident on one side of the street paid a similar amount as the other side of the street. Because it changed last year, I felt that if we touched the electricity, we could bring that up slightly without affecting the customers too much. Certainly, it's council's decision if you choose to also increase the gas franchise. There is a cap on that, as I mentioned. I think it's 35% for gas. Yeah, so it's getting up there for sure.
Councillor Pisichny.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor, through to council and Ms. McDonald. I think we should remind ourselves it wasn't a surprise that we had dual franchises in the community. We knew we had dual franchises. We just didn't realize we had a different rate for both franchises. That was the assumption was made that both paid the same franchise rate. But the reason for my cue in the mic tonight is, as I always talk about this, and I hate the franchise fee system. I find it frustrating because it is a tool that we have as a municipality for revenue, but it's kind of dirty pool how they don't bury the fees within their operating costs. They put it right on your bill. So it's essentially, and I'll say it again, we're charging the ratepayers of Edson so that the Fortis can use their land. That's really what it is. It's a bad system, but we are, if you look at the comparable numbers throughout the province, we're still even at 6.7 is considerably lower than most municipalities. I see a lot have maxed out or well above the 10. And then the dollar amount per bill is quite low annually. So I guess it's I'd rather see a few dollars on my power bill than a 1% tax increase on my tax bill. So I think that's where I'm at. It's not a huge increase. I hate franchise fees, and I just want to make sure I reminded everybody that I don't like them.
What I heard there is you like franchise fees, okay. Yeah. Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to Councillor Pisichny, I do hear your comments about just seeing a few extra dollars on your electricity bill, but and a reminder, Ms. McDonald was also mentioning that we collect this from places that don't pay property tax, and that's something to consider as well, whether it be schools, whether it be places of worship, provincial buildings, the hospital, and if we ever took away the franchise fees and never proposing that, then you'd certainly see probably more than a 1% tax increase to cover some of those costs. So I do hear that you don't like free franchise fees, though. I'll repeat that as well. There you go.
Councillor Chenard.
Yes, through the mayor to Councilor Pocicinski. Did you say, I'm hard of hearing, you like them or don't like them? But my comment is very similar because I get it that we're collecting money, saving 1% and charging on. So I agree with the two gas ones, they're high enough. And the electricity, I don't care about chasing graphs, but I do hear what you're saying. Our town is falling far behind. So by increasing them, we're collecting money, but like Councillor Taylor says, on some of the buildings, we don't get none. So I guess I'll have to be in favor with them as well.
Councillor Trotchka.
Thanks. Through the chair to administration, council, and those in the gallery. So I do agree with the comments that have been already mentioned. Something additional to consider is that most communities in Canada are not sustainable. We've got infrastructure deficits, bridge, roads, sewers, water lines, whatever, buildings, you name it. It's underfunded, and things are wearing out and are worn out, and there's holes everywhere. So that's no surprise. We know that, right? But there are a few communities I've learned in Alberta that are a bit more sustainable than others. And all of those communities have much high or at the highest end of the franchise fee. So I just wanted to point that out. And some of the communities that seem to be struggling the worst at this moment in time are some of the ones with the lowest. So, you know, perhaps there's a correlation between funding your franchise fees and being able to be in a more sustainable position as a community if you spend that towards your infrastructure deficits. So I am in support of increasing this, and I think over time we will likely have to increase it more, as was already mentioned. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comments? So I'll just, I wasn't going to speak on this, but I'll speak on this. Over the years, I've, like Councillor Pocicinski, have had issues with franchise fees, just the way that they're delivered. But at the end of the day, you know, over the last number of years, we have worked very, very hard not to increase these fees, like considerably hard. There have been some modifications, but we've tried to keep the revenue the same. And as you look on that list, we are well below our regional comparators, with the exception of one community. And we are facing infrastructure challenges, service delivery challenges, and quite frankly, millions of dollars of lost revenue from the province in grants over the years. And this is one way that we get to charge them, and they have to pay them. And it's one of the things is everybody pays us. It's not just the taxpayers. So if you're talking about equity, it's more equitable to charge a higher franchise fee than it is to increase taxes where only select people you know, pay that, or select properties, and those properties often are businesses that are hit twice as hard because of the mill rate difference. So I think that unfortunately we do have to do an increase here in order to, you know, we're looking at, you know, our roads that need work. We have flood mitigation. We're spending, you know, $8 million, $9 million this year on flood mitigation. And there's other things that we need to address in our capital plan, and we need that funding available. So I will be supportive of this motion, and I think it is probably the most equitable way in order to generate some revenue. So with that, I will take a motion from the floor, please. Go ahead, Councillor Chouinard.
I move that council increase the 2026 Fortis Alberta franchise fee at a current rate of 4.7 to 6.7 for electricity.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried. I'll take the second motion, please. Councillor Trotchka.
I move that council maintain the 2026 ATCO Gas franchise fee rate at the current rate of 22.54% for gas.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried. And can I get a motion on the Yellow Gas Co-op, please? Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I move the council maintain the 2026 Yellowhead Gas Co-op Limited franchise fee rate at 22.54% for gas.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. We're going to move on to letter of support, provincial winter funding for Reflections, and I'll ask Ms. Byers to come up, our community services manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, we just have a matter that is, quite important for the time of year that it is, with fall and winter around the corner. So I will just get into a short presentation. So I think you're all fairly aware of Reflections and the services they provide, but here's just a brief overview. So they're an adult drop-in center located in Edson, offering support and assistance to individuals who may be experiencing mental health challenges, brain trauma, and other personal difficulties. Reflections is available to adults over the age of 18, and the center provides a safe, secure environment where individuals can access support, understanding, and a sense of community. Last winter, as you know, Reflections expanded their services to provide emergency overnight supports during extreme weather, and that was in their new facility on First Ave. Reflections is requesting a letter of support from Mayor and Council to support their application for provincial funding. Now, why is this letter of support needed? It was not needed of Mayor and Council last year. Administration was able to provide this letter. But this year, Reflections, they've applied for this provincial funding through the Temporary Emergency Response Measures Program, the TERM program, to help sustain its essential services during the colder months, so when vulnerable individuals face the most increase of challenges. As part of the application process, the province has requested this formal letter of support from Mayor and Council to demonstrate that strong municipal backing for the services they're providing. This letter will help reinforce the value of Reflections' work in the community and strengthen their case for funding approval. And so a little more background where we're at today. Reflections has met all expectations that were outlined in the development permit as stated in the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board decision. Last winter, Reflections demonstrated responsible operational decisions and the activation of overnight shelter services when temperatures dropped below -25, and it went smoothly. If Reflections secures provincial funding, this will essentially fund and offset the costs associated with providing the drop-in services during the day and emergency overnight services during extreme weather. As you're also likely aware, they did lose AHS funding this year, and so this funding is extremely important to their operations. So we recommend, Administration, we commend Reflections for their outstanding work in creating a safe and supportive space for vulnerable residents in our community. And the recommendation before you is that Council approve the signing of the letter of support as requested by Reflections, empowering people to succeed. And now I'm happy to answer any questions, and we also have Anne and Debbie in the gallery here if you have any questions of them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Byers, for your presentation. We'll open the floor to questions. Councillor Pasechny.
Yeah, maybe more of a statement than a question, but through the mayor to council and our presenters. I do notice, I definitely support this, and I will be voting in favor of this. It was very noticeable within our community when Reflections wasn't operating. So any way we can help them secure some funding from the province, as this is a provincial responsibility, I'm here to support them in achieving that goal. So I definitely will support us writing a letter to help them get a grant through the province.
Councillor Chachka.
Thanks. Through the chair to administration, I also echo what Councillor Pasechny said. When Reflections was not opened, it was very noticeable. I do have a couple questions, though, on the letter. So I don't know if you have that in front of you. Number 3 talks about municipality supporting the following services. And the first, the third, and the fourth boxes to me seem like the same thing. And I'm just wondering if there's any differences in them. That would be helpful to know.
Go ahead, Ms. Byers.
Through the mayor to Councillor Kachka, I'll be really transparent. I did this while I was on holidays in quite a hurry. And in here, I also thought they were somewhat redundant, but this was the form letter that was provided by the province. So I didn't have the opportunity to speak with them to say, basically, are these redundant? Or we just checked every box because we are able to meet everything with the zoning that we have in place. And so, I know that's kind of a sad reason for checking every box, but we wanted to make sure that we were covering all the bases as well, and this was what they provided us.
Appreciate the honest answer. Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to council, I am supportive of also providing this letter. That said, for the reason, some of the reasons that have been mentioned here. That said, when the mayor has concluded the discussion, I do have a slightly alternate motion I would like to make when the mayor has concluded the discussion, and I'll make that motion and then I'll speak to that motion.
All right, thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Chenard.
Just a comment similar to Councillor Pszczny's. I've always stated too, this is a provincial or federal matter, so I am very in favor of doing it. Anything we can do to get the province to fund this properly.
Thank you. Before I take a motion from the floor, I also will be, I think I'll be supporting, depending on what your motion is, Councillor Taylor. The reality is, we, as was mentioned earlier, we witnessed last year when Reflections was closed, what will happen on the streets of Edson. And if anybody does not want to see that happen again, they should be supporting these types of programs. I have the ability through my volunteerism with Citizens on Patrol to be out on the streets at 3, 4 in the morning on some of these cold winter nights. And if those that don't have homes have a place to stay, they end up breaking into sheds, they end up loitering inside of buildings, into apartment buildings, and I can say that when Reflections was operating last year, we didn't have any issues in downtown that I saw when I was out and about in the community. The province needs to continue to support these types of services. Having been in Edmonton this past weekend, it is a very sad state of affairs. And luckily here in Edson, we don't see that magnitude of a problem, but we still have people that need to be taken care of. So definitely in support of this initiative. And once again, I think that, you know, the folks that are experiencing homelessness do need to have a place to go so they don't die on the streets or get frostbite. And the years where we haven't had out of the cold emergency shelter spaces, they end up with calls to the fire department, calls to EMS, calls to our CMP, tying up our ER, and we need to avoid as many people going to the ER as possible right now with the lack of doctors in our community. So anything we can do to mitigate that's also very positive. With that, Councillor Taylor, you have a motion you would like to make?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council provide a letter of support for Reflections provincial winter funding application as presented in attachment number 1 on the grounds that Reflections ensures that a coordinated and collaborative community strategy is undertaken between Reflections and the Homelessness Task Force. And once it's up on the screen here, I'll be happy to speak to that motion. That's a different one. There you go. Yes, so I'll speak to this motion. So first of all, fully supportive of the funding for the overnight program. It's needed. This takes the burden off the town. The Reflections did what I would say is an outstanding job last year, taking over the emergency cold protocol. That took the burden off the town for the emergency out of the cold initiative that we have, and put it where the professionals are at Reflections, which was fantastic. That said, the Homelessness Task Force, a group that I'm a part of, is made up of professionals dealing with the ground floor of the homelessness issue, representatives from some organizations, including Wayfinding, who deal with the unhoused clients each and every day, AHS, the RCMP, enforcement, volunteers from very different social groups, whether it be the thrift store that perhaps see unhoused individuals, FCSS, social housing, and the county. But to function to the best of their ability, the Homelessness Task Force needs Reflections at the table too. They need Reflections at the table to move forward with a coordinated approach to finding solutions. I'm happy to say that the task force did meet with Reflections back in the spring for a very positive meeting. And that's the first of what I hope are some positive meetings, and we need Reflections certainly at that table to bring their solutions as well. And with that collaboration, the task force can assist Reflections to access funding to keep their doors open. And I think it's paramount that they keep their doors open. Many people here at this table made comments to that as to reason why. If, and I would hate this to ever happen, if Reflections would ever cease to stop operating, we would see the same issues in our community that we saw a year ago when Reflections was closed due to their renovations. We had businesses upset because people felt unsafe in our community. Whether that safety was real or perceived, people felt unsafe. But once Reflections reopened, the issues dropped dramatically. And you can even ask our staff sergeant, the contributing factor to that is because he said because Reflections was open again. And the issues that we saw dropped dramatically. But for this coordination to happen, we need Reflections at the table. Reflections offers what I would describe as short-term emergent support for unhoused individuals. And so long as we can, as a task force, help and support Reflections to provide those short-term support for unhoused individuals, we can look at a collaborative, cooperative approach to long-term solutions as well. So with that, together we can work towards the best solutions towards homelessness in our community. So those are my comments, and that is my motion.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Chenard?
Through the mayor to Councillor Taylor, I hear what you're saying, but where the only problem I see, I don't like a but. We are asking the province to fund this. So I get what you're saying, but with this in there, is that going to cause the province to question it? So I'd like the letter coming from us, and then at a later time, I understand the task force and cooperations. I'm just concerned this but may cause a problem with the province.
Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to Councillor Chenard, I don't consider it as a but. It's not. It's asking community groups to work together toward homelessness. And that's what we want. That's what we want as a community, right? What we don't want is two different groups doing two different things, or perhaps the same thing and not coordinating together. We've had an initial meeting. I think it went very well, but I think we need to work closely together. And at the same time, the task force can be instrumental in finding funding for Reflections to keep their doors open so they can keep doing the great work that they're already doing. So I don't consider this a but, not in any way. It's making it vocal at this table. It's making it vocal to the province that we want to coordinate this approach to homelessness. Maybe that's something that other municipalities should be doing too, and that's what I would like to see in this community.
Councillor Trotchka?
Thanks, through the chair to council. So I do understand the concern that Councillor Chenard has with that. But if I do recall, a few years ago, the province had actually some limitations on receiving the funding, and that was that they had to have more supports and things attached to their funding. So if the province were going to get picky on this, and I would kind of question why they had the limitations they had in the past. I don't think this is a huge limitation. I think that working collaboratively with groups and professionals, in a professional environment can lead to greater outcomes than having everyone do that on their own. I've always been a fan of synergy, and that's what this is. So I would be in support of this motion. My just question is to Councillor Taylor is how, so we send the letter, so process-wise, we approve this, say, and then we send the letter to the government, and then the government, we've checked all the boxes and everything is good, and they want to provide that funding. How do we make sure that this community strategy is kind of proceeding to go ahead between the two groups? What are your thoughts with that kind of process?
Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to Councillor Chachka, I think the process is simple, that we see Reflections at the Homelessness Task Force meetings. They're active participants. They're open to what they're doing within their organization, and the task force is working collaboratively with them. I think that's something we'll see and even if the province, and I don't know what the province will do when they see this sort of added in there, the province may say, yeah, this will be a condition. They could easily add, and you mentioned this now, they could easily add this as a condition to future funding. They say we want to see more collaborative approaches instead of, and sometimes the province sees this, they see two organizations from the same community applying for the same funding when they should be working together, right? So I think there's just going to be a natural, based on what we see here and based on that initial meeting that we had with Reflections, I believe that we'll see that natural collaboration happen, hopefully starting soon.
We'll go to CO Beveridge and then Councillor Piaseczny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to council, in reviewing the template letter that is provided as far as attachment 1, it doesn't articulate this particular motion. What you're directing with the motion is essentially that the letter of support as presented in attachment 1, which is attached to the agenda, is the one that's sent. It doesn't articulate the additional piece. I just wanted to bring that to light. Just a little bit of history as well. I'm very... Last year when we were dealing with the situation with the funding from the province, this is a positive move in my opinion that the province is requesting letters of support. One of the aspects that we were asked during the process was, were you aware of the operations, et cetera, to the level of detail that the province wanted? And we were somewhat, but the reality is this is the formal approach of making sure that municipalities know what funding is being applied for and what that funding is to be used for to help support a community. So, I mean, that's just an aside from my perspective of working through this. This was a very challenging situation for us last year, trying to work with the province, and Tanya and her team did a lot of extra work to make sure that the province had what they needed in order to provide the funding. And this is one of those extra steps to confirm that this, the community is aware what the funding is for, and also this council is aware what the funding is for. So I just wanted to bring that as some information, but as well just the piece of that attachment doesn't articulate anything with regards to the grounds that Councillor Taylor has brought forward, and I just want to make you aware of that.
Thank you, Councillor Piaseczny.
Well, through the mayor to CO Beveridge, thanks for stealing my question. My question was going to be through administration anyway, was on exactly that. The motion is not noted in the letter. And is there any way, I just want to ensure if I vote on this that I don't want our motion, sometimes they have a specific motion that is required to go along with it. That motion such and such was made at such and such a time. I don't want to vote on this motion and have the problem say, yeah, but you didn't do the right motion, so therefore we're not giving you the money. I don't want to go down that path. So I 100% support the idea of working together. I just don't want to screw this up with a motion that may not read properly when it gets submitted. Because I know the letter is one thing, but sometimes, and it's not in our letter, which makes me a little bit more comfortable, but I want to make sure that we don't have a back piece in our documentation submitted that says, oh yeah, and here's our town motion, and the province goes, whoa, what does that mean? So I don't want to go down that path. So that's what I just want to make sure we get some clarity on that, because I know it's not in the letter, but I want to make sure there's nowhere else that we're going to screw up getting the money on this. So that was kind of where I'm at with that.
Do you have any response to that, Ms. Spires?
It's through the mayor to council. I absolutely see where you're coming from. Would it or wouldn't it? We're not sure, but I agree with you. Taking the chance is a little bit scary. The only other thing to it, as I read it, as it's stated at the moment, this really puts the onus on Reflections to create this collaborative strategy, where it has to be, if the task force isn't at the table saying, yes, we want this collaborative strategy, it's a lot, I guess, to be putting on Reflections in this motion. That's my only thoughts on that. But I do think that, in an act of good faith, Reflections has been back to the table. I do see more collaboration between them and wayfinding. And, I would like to think in an act of good faith that this is going to continue progressing in a positive direction.
All right, thank you, Ms. Byers. So, lots to consider there, lots of commentary. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Councillor Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, through the mayor to Councillor Piaseczny's point about the letter. If it is just the form letter, that's all we need sent. And that's all. To my knowledge, they're not asking for this motion. This motion is more as this community, as this to bring attention of the collaboration that should be happening between the Homelessness Task Force and Reflections. The letter can probably send as is. It looks like our legislative coordinator has some comments, so I'll defer back to the mayor.
I'll go over to Legislative Services. Go ahead.
Through to council, to comply with the letter of support, we can split this easily into two motions. That council provide the letter of support. And then the second motion could be that council direct administration to support Reflections, or to work with Reflections to support a coordinated and collaborative community strategy. So you break it into two separate portions, one supporting the letter as is, and two, the separate collaborative community strategy.
Thank you for that very much. Just to speak to that, I think that's a really good suggestion, is to split the motion to the original motion, and then on the second motion, maybe that the secondary motion could be that town council requests that Reflections ensures a coordinated and collaborative community strategy to be undertaken and to work closely with the Homelessness Task Force. Is that, would that be agreeable to you, Councillor Taylor?
Through the mayor, that would be agreeable. Do we have to, because I did put that original motion on the floor, so are we then voting that original motion down? Is that, or I don't know if we can amend it into two motions. I don't know what the cleanest.
If you want to go ahead, Legislative Services.
Through to council, we can easily amend the motion since it hasn't been voted on at this time, and then just proceed.
Go ahead, Councillor Pisichny.
I'm more than willing to make a motion to amend, but I would just refer to legislative for proper wording. Like, I need to split this. So would my motion be then to make amendments to split the motion? Or do we just vote to rescind it?
Because the motion, through to council, because the motion hasn't been voted on, it's still a live motion that we can amend on the fly, in my experience. If council prefers to have that motion dead in the water, you certainly can make a motion to amend the motion. However, again, because we have not had the vote, where you would need to amend if we're in the debate phase, if that makes sense.
Go ahead, Councillor Pisichny.
I just want to make sure we do this the right way. So I just never known where you can move to amend to split the motion into two motions. I've never seen that at anything I've ever been to. So I'm just like, I would move to amend to split into two motions, but I don't know how to do that because I've never.
Can we just rescind the motion and then make a?
Through to council, my recommendation in my experience would be if Councillor Taylor is in support, that he brings his motion back and just says the motion as he reads it. Maybe he chooses to make the motion the second motion, and then a second member of council or him can follow up with the first motion as it's presented.
Okay, Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor, that's a great idea. So maybe we'll just do that. So I'll rescind the motion that was put forward on the floor. So I guess that's rescinded now.
Go ahead, Councillor Pisichny.
I call you on a point of order, but more of a point of clarification. Once a motion is on the table, it's owned by the table. Do we have to vote to rescind this since he's rescinding it?
That's a good point, Councillor Pisichny. See, we don't do this very often,
No, we
so.
don't. Last council meeting of the year.
So a motion to accept rescindment of the motion, right? Or do we have to vote? Just vote on it, yeah.
I believe we just vote to rescind.
Yeah.
We had to vote to take it off.
Okay. All right, I will call the question. All those in favor
Of rescinding.
of rescinding? All right, there we go. You wonder why people don't want to get involved in these things.
So now I'll.
Go ahead,
I can
Councillor
make-
Taylor.
I'll make the motion. I'll make the second one as per our legislative. Oh, you have a question to that?
No, I was going to make the first motion.
Okay, you want to make the first
second
one?
motion.
Okay.
Counselor Pizicny, go ahead.
I would move that council provide a letter of support for Reflections Provincial Winter Funding application as presented in attachment 1.
Thank you. All those in favor? Motion carried. Counselor Taylor.
I move that council request Reflections to ensure that, I have to make sure that wording is correct. That council request Reflections ensure that a coordinated and collaborative community strategy is undertaken between Reflections and the Homelessness Task Force.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. All right. Thank you. And item G6. Thank you, Ms. Byers. Where's the G6 music? Go ahead, Mr. Kitlitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Apologies for the late addition to the agenda. The paper copy of the RFD I passed out just before the meeting. I'll summarize that in a verbal presentation. It's essentially providing council with a couple of different options to complete a capital project that we put on the plan for at spring budget this year to desludge cell 1 lagoon of our wastewater treatment plant. There were some operational efficiencies that were causing problems for us, and it needed to be desludged. So we had $600,000 approved for that project. We put out the tender. Leybourne Environmental was a successful bid for that project. They've been working on it all summer. But they've come to us telling us that they've reached the upset limit of that particular funding, and there's still about 25% of the estimate of the desludging to go. They were going to demobilize and leave town before the weekend. We convinced them to stick around to give us a chance to see if there was a way we could figure out a way to fund finishing this off. Sadly, the estimate to complete it is about an extra $200,000. So finance and our team got together today to try to figure out a way to do that, and we come up with a couple options. Option 1 is in fact to allow Leybourne to demobilize, and then we'll put in a new budget request for 2026 to complete the remainder of this project in 2026 for council's consideration at budget. This is good. This is good because it doesn't mean we have to provide any amendment to the 2025 budget for this year to complete this project. But what it does mean is there could be escalating costs. For starters, demobilization for a company to come in and do this, just based on the estimate from Leybourne for 2025 was $41,000. So to have someone come back, those costs would be incurred again. Secondly, it probably would mean that we'd have to actually re-tender it for next year, so there's no guarantee that we would get the same price that we did this year for that particular body of work. Section option in the RFD is a budget reallocation request. Couple things we're looking at. We've managed to generate a bit more revenue in the wastewater department this year for two reasons. One, we did a deforestation project around the plant. We were able to sell some of that product, which generated about $85,000 of the revenue. It was unplanned and unbudgeted for. And then the sewage lagoon dumping fees again are well over our projected revenue budget by about $70,000. So we managed to generate an extra $155,000 of revenue in that particular cost center this year. That coupled with a adjustment to the reserve transfer in the 2025 budget by reducing it by 45 would cover a $200,000 expenditure under contracted services, which is an estimate that Leybourne did give us. They said to finish it off, they could do it for $198,000 right now. So we felt it prudent to bring this in front of council at a late hour. It's a project that needs to be done. If we don't do it now or next year, we'll have to do it at some point, and it probably won't get cheaper to do. I know it's disheartening that it is costing more than originally planned. I think part of the reason for that, based on my understanding, is we've never dredged that pond that we can recall. One of our longest serving operators has been here for 20 years, and he does not recall us ever dredging that particular pond. We've dredged others, but not that one. So I think the amount of solids that were in that pond were much more than we anticipated. So I know it's not great news, but we wanted to give council some options to consider to get this project finished.
Thank you, Mr. Kitlitz. Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to council, I'm in support of option 2 to get this project done and completed in this term. You know, we have an opportunity to complete a project. I think we should, so I prefer option 2. I do have a question, and based on the answer, perhaps just a follow-up, if that's okay, to Mr. Kitlitz. Obviously, they said this pond hasn't been desludged in 20 years. Like, how often is it supposed to happen?
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you, Councillor Taylor. Great question. I was told this afternoon that based on the design of the new plant, cell 1 and 2, which were the ones that are directly in front of the plant, are about every 5 years is the recommended design. The design recommends every 5 years for those to be desludged. Now, if we kept up that pattern, and what we should, and we will, moving forward, it should cost a lot less to do, obviously, if you keep on it. So, but that is the recommended by the design for every 5 years.
And just as a quick follow-up, is this something then that we place in our capital plan, like, or could this be an operating? I don't know how to proceed. You say you want to proceed in the future like that. That's fantastic. Just wondering how to approach that in future budgets.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So I think what we would want to do, I think the ideal way to do it, and I'll let Ms. McDonald weigh in if I've missed this, but I think it's an operational item that we would probably start planning to put money into reserves to cover that. So every 5 years we have the money to be able to do that work would be, I think, the ideal way to do it. Does that sound about right?
Go ahead, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you. To add clarification, this project would not contribute to an asset. So even though the dollar amount would indicate we probably would address it under the capital budget, it wouldn't actually create an asset. So we end up expensing it regardless, whether it's on the capital program or in the operating. So just to finish off this year, it would be the 200,000 would be expensed. And then when the whole project is completed, the capital project would end up being also expensed. So remember, when the financial statements were said work in progress on that wide capital sheet, it wouldn't become into one of the columns where it says engineering structured, because it's really is a maintenance item. So we just end up expensing it
And that's in the future as well.
in the future as well.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Chenard.
Through the mayor to Clayton, sorry, I don't know your last name. Mr. Kitlitz. Where I'm a little confused, it says Leybourne Environmental was awarded the tender to complete the work and notified the town of end of August the 600,000 ran out. So were they awarded a tender to do the complete job, or awarded a tender to spend 600 and bill us more? That's what I read, and I just want clarification on that because I'm really confused.
That's a really good question. Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So there's a survey that's done. It estimates the volume that would be in that pond, and the tender was based on that volume, and they've reached that volume already. So they've taken out that much material. So it's exceeded the tender volume. That's what I understand.
Thank you. Councillor Pisichny.
Yeah, through the mayor to Mr. Kitlitz, I definitely support going ahead. Good call on stopping them from demobilizing. That'll save us some money. So I like that. But the question I have is which pond is the one we're dredging?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to try to describe this. So, and I don't know the technical terms. The 2 round aerobic cylinders that you see in front of the plant, the pond that's directly in front of those, it's cell 1. And it actually splits into cell 2, that's just directly east of that.
To the east?
So
The old
east of
aeration
plant.
ponds?
Those are new ones.
I can't answer that if that's what they were, the old aeration ponds. Those are the 2 ponds, though, directly east of the plant.
Okay. Because we did dredge the ponds by the overpass.
Yeah, we did. Yes. Yeah. But these 2 here, according to our operator, have not been done in his time here. So.
Yeah, these have the aerators in them. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Trashka.
Thanks. Through the mayor to Mr. Kitlitz. Thanks for bringing this forward, for starters. And if the cost of adjusting the 2025 capital plan is less than the $41,000 of mobilization, then I'm in favor of that, which I suspect that it probably is. I have a question though. So is this the water plant or post-plant?
Yeah, thank you to you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to do my best to describe this. So from what I've been told, my understanding, and then the staff have really been educating me, it's quite fascinating actually. So there's two pipes that go into that first cell. One effluent exits a pipe into that pond, and what's supposed to happen is the solids settle down, and the water on top is called, darn it, I can't remember what it's called. No, there's another word for it. Stand by.
Dirty water?
Dirty water. That water there's another intake pipe in that pond that sucks it back into the treatment plant to get treated one more time before it goes to the finishing ponds, and then ultimately to the outflow. So the problem is, because there's so much sediment in that pond, our plant's not running efficiently because it's so full of sediment that we're sucking in material that's way more, we're almost treating it twice is what's happening. And actually what's happening operationally because of this is our operators for the last little while have been hand pumping the top layer of water out of that and putting it back into our plant, bypassing that inflow and outtake because it's so full of sludge. So this is needed work. We have to finish it. If we don't do it now, we'll have to do it at some point. And like I said, it won't get any cheaper than it is right now, unfortunately. So hopefully does that help? Did I explain that okay? Does that understand?
Follow up though. Go ahead. Okay, a follow-up through the mayor to Mr. Kitlitz. So with the water infiltration issues that we've been having in our wastewater system, when we experience high rain events, would this help, I guess, create more volume to hold that while we're waiting on processing time?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't think so. I don't think they're directly related at all.
Okay.
This is just about the treatment process itself. It doesn't have anything to do with volume.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Well, it is definitely a crappy situation, but it needs to be dealt with. The reality is that we built that wastewater treatment plant, and it not operating efficiently is not good for operations. It's not good for taxpayers because it costs just more to operate our systems. You had something you wanted to add?
Yes.
Mr.
Sorry,
Kitlitz?
Mr. Mayor, it's in the RFP, but I just want to make sure it was clear that the option 2 we're proposing doesn't impact the bottom line of the wastewater budget because it's basically a net zero, correct? Because the revenue is offsetting it as well as the reduction and the reserve transfers. So I just want to make sure that was clear.
So, I'm certainly in support of getting the work done. It's not going to be cheaper to come back and having to do it. So we need to make sure that facility is operating efficiently and effectively, because if people can't flush their toilets, we're definitely going to get some phone calls. And we also need to be in compliance with regulatory bodies, Alberta Environment, et cetera. So with that, Council, I will take a motion, please. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Okay, sorry, just making sure.
Councillor Chachka
Thank you.
moves that
Yeah, I
council
move.
approve.
Yeah, I move that council approve an additional $200,000 expense for lagoon desludging within the 2025 operating budget by increasing the revenue budget for the sale of goods and services of $155,000 and reducing the 2025 budgeted contribution to capital reserve by $45,000.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, that motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. We will move on to council committee reports, going back to August the 20th. Who would like to start? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
Okay, since it wasn't at the last council meeting, so I'm going to report July 19th. I had the honor of doing the ribbon cutting at Reflections. And in that ribbon cutting, there was talked about budgeting, so no surprise it came to us. August 13th, I had the pleasure of taking residents from 5 different lodges, and we went to the Edmonton riverboat with the seniors. So it was the first time, because due to evacuations, we had representation from all 5 lodges there. So they enjoyed the trip. Am I allowed to report on what May? Oh, okay, I'm going to say in what May I was in a contest. Read Facebook and see where I ended up.
Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Okay, through the mayor to council, I will report on my committee that I am appointed to. On August 26th, I attended the YCE Multiplex Steering Committee meeting, where we also, following the meeting, had a tour of the construction site, and that is all I have to report.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
On August 20th, I attended a library board meeting where I reported that we're almost finished the deficiencies from the renovations. It does take a while to go through that process. And they are now working through the final steps of purchasing furnishings with the money that they had fundraised, which is exciting. And then we approved the 2026 budget. On August 22nd, along with the mayor, I attended the mayor's golf tournament, which was a fundraiser for the Edson Food Bank. I'll let the mayor say how much money was raised, but it was a great day. And as deputy mayor, it's my role to be in charge of the weather. And I succeeded. I heard about rain. I said, not on my watch. No way. And it was sunshine the whole day. On August 22nd, or August 27th, I attended the Homelessness Task Force meeting where we appointed a new chair, Laura Walton. And that is my report.
Thank you. Councillor Bevan.
I have nothing to report.
Councillor Pasich.
August 26th, I zoomed into the YCE meeting, and unfortunately I zoomed in, so I couldn't be a part of the tour.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Thank you. August 28th, I attended the Edson and District Historical Society membership meeting. A couple of points from this meeting. Gate 1, which brings American tourists up here to see Edson and the Galloway Museum. They had one fellow who wanted to buy an elbows up t-shirt, but it didn't suit him because he wanted a long sleeve shirt, and we don't have long sleeve shirts there. So anyway, but as well, we had 12,500 people tour the museum this year. And the revenue has gone up, of course, because of people buying souvenirs and such. So that was a great thing, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. On August 21st, I attended the West Yellowhead Regional Waste Management meeting. It was a very quick meeting. It was just to approve an increase to road paving project at the landfill. The tenders came in way over budget. So that was awarded with an increase of $150,000 to be funded through the waste management reserves. On the 22nd, Mayor's Golf Tournament was completely sold out. We had 124 golfers, fantastic weather, raised well over $28,000. The final numbers are still being tallied, but we'll announce the actual final number very, very soon. And $1,000 worth of food was also donated at the event. We had people from all over the province there. The amount of sponsorships was absolutely amazing. And a big thank you to Miss Tate, Cheryl, and Steve, and everybody who was involved in this event. Made it a huge success, and people are already saying we're going to be back next year. So we look forward to that. To date, over the last 4 years, we've raised over $90,000 for 4 separate nonprofit societies here in Edson, which is fantastic. A number of our vendors that are from out of town support this event, and that's a way for them to give back to this community. So on the 26th, I attended the YCE meeting and then did the tour of the grounds, and it was very surprising, I guess shocking, a little bit shocking to hear that they're actually on schedule. They've been able to pivot the project with the rain to ensure that they keep moving forward. They had 35 workers on site that day, and you'll start seeing structure going up here a little bit later on this fall into the winter. And when you actually walk the facility grounds, you actually get a sense of how big this expansion is going to be. So fortunately, you missed that, Councillor Pasichny, but it's a very exciting time. And it's great to see all the local contractors that are also involved in this project. And I spoke to one of them last week, and they're just giddy to be involved because the staff in Edson are going to be on the ground floor making this project happen. So big hats off to Clark Builders and the team for moving that project forward. With that, we will move on to information items. Next up, we have the Edson RCMP Q1 report presented by Ms. Beveridge. Go ahead.
Through to Mayor and Council, the package does have the information within the report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to forward them on to Staff Sergeant Delisle. I know that there was there was a question submitted by Council earlier. It was with regards to the stats for the motor vehicle accidents, et cetera, within the Q1 versus previous years, and some other information which I'll be able to provide. There's a little more analysis that's provided or that's required in order to answer that question. So I'll be happy to provide that to all of Council via email when I receive that. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just comment on this. I was the one that submitted one of the questions there. 112% increase in motor vehicle collisions in the town of Edson year over year for Q1. The one thing that is different is that photo radar was removed. So to get some data specifically to Highway 16 would help clarify to see if there was a correlation between those things. Certainly very concerning to see that big of a jump. And if you're looking at the data, the collision data is pretty flat year over year until last year. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. A 400% increase in non-reportable, those are minor collisions, between 2021 and 2025. So with that, I will take a motion from the floor unless there's any other comments or questions. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I move the council accept the September 2nd, 2025 information item as set out in attachment 1 to 3 for information.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, that motion is carried unanimously. And can I get a motion to go in closed session, please? Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
I move that the meeting move into a closed session pursuant to the Access to Information Act, Section 29, advice from officials.
Thank you. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. I'll adjourn this meeting at 9:19.